welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you keep up with the latest content. Also follow my TikTok and Instagram for other content that I may post. So now that we got that over with, it is January, which means a lot of you are either starting your spring semester of school or maybe getting enrolled in school, which is very exciting, right? So that leads into my next topic, advice for nursing students and study tips. I'll admit that my nursing journey was not the fantasy and it wasn't easy at all, but that's not to discourage you. I want to give you tips so you learn from my mistake. I originally tried nursing school at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and I failed twice, which kicked me out the program and kept me from enrolling at any other nursing school in the University of Arkansas system, right? I'll admit I was depressed and very disappointed in myself, but I did not give up, which is what I encourage all of you. My first advice to nursing students is do not give up. So after I graduated with a different degree and something that I wasn't going to use, I just knew I had to be a nurse. So I went to Baptist Health College in Little Rock, and smooth sailing passed. But because I learned my lessons from my first experience, pay attention in anatomy and physiology. I'll be honest, I cheated my way through and deeply regretted it when I went to nursing school. It is easier to learn about diseases and diagnosis and things that go wrong with the body if first you have a strong foundation in how the body works on a normal basis. So that's my first tip. Also, learn how to study. This may sound common sense or practical, but a lot of people have the experience of education coming easy to them or not having to put in a lot of work to pass classes previously. But in nursing school, it's a whole nother ball game. You can take different quizzes online to see what your learning style is. Some people are kinetic, which is hands-on. Some are auditory, they listen. Or some people need demonstrations. So figure out how you learn first, and that will definitely help you learn how to study and let you know what you need to do to retain information. So some of my study tips include recording the lectures. Me sitting still for a long time, I get distracted and I lose attention. So if you record the lecture, you can replay it later on and listen to it and break it down in sections. I also had an issue with being able to take notes and listen at the same time. Either I wasn't writing fast enough or I would miss something because I'm trying to write down and organize my notes. So that's one very good idea, is to record the lectures. That was so helpful for me. I also encourage you to download Quizlet. Like, literally stop what you're doing right now and download Quizlet. Quizlet is an app. It's also a website where you can make flashcards and study guides with material. You can even find other people's stuff, but I suggest making your own with your notes and with your material that you're learning. So what's great about it is if you're like me, I have issues keeping up with stuff, and I also have terrible handwriting. So the flashcard thing, it just wasn't the best idea for me. But with Quizlet, you can make virtual flashcards online, and they can be on your phone, your iPad, your laptop, whatever, and you can take them with you. They're mobile. They also have the option of making quizzes and playing games with your study material. So that gives you different ways of playing around with the information to help you remember it. Because another thing about nursing school, you actually need to learn it. It's not necessarily a memory game. Next, when you're reading material, a lot of books at the end of the chapter, they have review questions or like kind of highlighted points of what's important. Always look at that and see if you retain information. Try to answer those questions at the end of the chapter, and if you can, that means that most likely you've learned the material. If not, it kind of gives you an idea of what you need to review. I also encourage like downloading whatever online material the book comes with. A lot of times they have bonus quizzes and material and study guides that the book publisher made that can help you learn the content as well, because sometimes the notes you get from class may not always be informative enough to help you understand the material, and sometimes you just need multiple resources to really get it down. The thing about nursing school is it's very time consuming. You have to find balance and learn how to manage your time well, which I'm actually in the process of updating my planner, but I highly recommend a planner and time management. Schedule your study time. Also, I suggest working the minimal possible. I only worked weekends personal, and it was hard. I had to stretch the dollar, but it was well worth it in the end, which I know everyone's situations are different and some people have to work more than others, but do what you can to either find a job that's accommodating to your nursing school schedule and maybe even let you have some study time on the job. Another part of time management is making sure you get rest. Sleep is important, and you're not going to get much of it in nursing school. I don't really recommend all-nighters because I feel like after a certain point, it's just you don't get anything else and you're just exhausted, and then you're not ready for the test, and then you give yourself anxiety because you feel like you're not prepared. So prepare in advance, avoid all-nighters, like give yourself plenty of time to study. Speaking of tests, here's some test taking tips. So when you're looking at a question, think about the steps of the nursing process. So when they're asking things like, what are you doing next? Or when you're assessing a situation, think about the nursing process. Did they assess first? That's the first step, and then move on from there. Also think about the nursing scope of practice. Are they asking you to do something that requires a doctor order? Is the question insinuating that you have that order? Don't read too deep. Literally, the question is the question. Don't ask scenarios. Read it for what it is, and whatever information is in that question, that's what you have. Don't start going off on a tangent about, well, what if this, what if that? There's no what ifs. Whatever's there is just there. Also, highly recommend talking to your instructors. I know being a teacher pet isn't necessarily cool, but I will tell you that they notice the ones who are putting the extra time in and the hard work to make sure they understand the material. Always clarify, ask questions. When you go to clinical, get with your instructor and see what their expectations are for the paperwork. I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference, and they really do appreciate and they notice and see you, and most instructors are willing to help you. Last but not least, this is a special request. Everyone hears about peds being the hardest class in nursing school, and I must agree. Pediatrics just wasn't my thing personally. And so I struggle with it. So my first tip when it comes to peds is forget everything you know about children. If you have kids in your family, your own kids, do not use them as an example, because you're looking at textbook perfect situations of what the experts think kids should do. Your kid may have been a child genius and did things earlier, so you can get questions wrong thinking about what your kid or a kid in your family did, or a kid that you know. I messed up before doing that. I was like in my head like, well, what did my cousin do? I think he started crawling around, and it just was wrong. So a very important aspect of peds is growth and development. A lot of test questions and information comes from growth and development, which is basically when they hit milestones. So from birth up to adolescence, you'll get material about when and how they should do different things, like when they develop motor skills, when they develop language, and different aspects of that. That was the most difficult part for me, because it's a lot, and a lot of stuff runs together, and some stuff was so random to me, like at what age do they throw a ball? I was just kind of like, huh? But it's important, and if you do study pediatric nursing, those are things that doctors and nurses look at. That wraps up this video. Happy studying, and I wish you all success. You can inbox me your comment if you have more questions or want more specific advice.